Hey guys, I'm Killjoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we're going to be discussing and reviewing Midsommar, the new movie from Ari Aster who did Hereditary last year. The movie has since been received with mixed reviews, and I'm going to get into why I think some people think this is a horror masterpiece, and why some people think this is a steaming pile of bear intestines. I will be giving away some spoilers in this video, so please go watch the movie first before you continue. The first thing I have to say about this movie is, oh my god, this is a wild and disturbing ride of bad mushroom trips and heads exploding. This movie comes up from behind you and grabs your nutsack and twists it up into a fleshy tornado. I have never quite seen anything like this, to be totally honest with you. It's a very ambitious film. All the performances were absolutely fantastic. Florence Pugh gives a fantastic. It's a great performance. She absolutely embodies the idea of feeling not wanted in a situation where you're not with your friends. You're in a weird place with people that don't want you there. She absolutely kills it with her performance. I really relate to that. I've never really seen that in a horror movie before, and the more I think about it, it's a really scary situation. One of the biggest complaints I've seen about this movie is that a lot of people don't think the beginning has anything to do with the rest of the movie. I disagree. I think the whole movie, it was because of that she went on the trip. We saw little inklings of it. We actually saw her mom and dad in the flower girl scene when she becomes the May Queen, which was bizarre. We also saw that little dream sequence where it was her sister with the tube in the mouth. It worked with the movie for me personally. I thought that was a great way to get her, because without that scene, she wouldn't have went. Another complaint I keep hearing about this movie is that nobody really finds it scary. As I see what the problem is. Comparing it to Hereditary, I guess it's not as in your face, like gonna throw some jump scares in there every now and then. There's like a few in this movie, but this movie relies more on the environment and the characters to scare you. I just don't know why people don't find this movie scary. There's literally a scene where there's a dude and he's still alive. He's got his back ripped open and they have his lungs on chicken wire in a chicken coop, and he's still breathing through them. If that doesn't scare you, if that's something that's in your basement, like an everyday kind of thing, well, maybe all of you are the up ones and not me. I found this movie to be terrifying. I left the theater at midnight just scared out of my mind. It was really hard to take Will Poulter seriously in this movie after seeing We're the Millers. Every time I look at him, I just think of a spider gnawing on his testicles. The reason I feel people didn't like this movie expecting something like Hereditary is because this movie tries to do horror comedy in a way that horror comedy hasn't been done before in the past. If you take a movie like, let's say, Shaun of the Dead, that's a horror comedy where the horror is watered down and the comedy is all the way at 100. This movie takes horror all the way to 100 and waters down the comedy. And sometimes it doesn't work. It is a horror comedy. I think that's the thing that people didn't realize going into this. They were expecting Hereditary, straight, dry, horrifying horror. And they got a bizarre horror comedy that doesn't always land, and I think that's what killed it for some people. A few of the scenes didn't land with me. It's a minor complaint about this movie, but if they were removed, this would be Shining level classic in my opinion. I think it would have better reviews. The scene where we see the old people come out, and they're like 72. That's what he says, that they off them at 72. They come out and they start eating dinner with them. They do this weird thing right before they go and, jump off the cliff. They just kind of stand up and make weird noises for a couple minutes. And I think that goes along with the hoo-ha thing that they were doing earlier in the movie. It was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to land as creepy. Maybe it was supposed to land as funny. I don't know. It didn't work for me. I love the rest of this movie. There was just a few scenes that were just so bizarre. Also, the scene where Danny runs back in after becoming the May Queen. She sees her boyfriend cheating on her, essentially, although he's completely f***ed up, probably doesn't even know what he's doing. She runs into the bunks, and all the rest of the girls from the cult run into this room, and they all just kind of get on the floor, and she's crying, and they're all crying with her. She starts screaming. They start screaming with her. That scene just doesn't work for me. That's just I I started laughing. It just wasn't, that was just bad, that was bad funny. There's a lot of bad funny moments in this, although there are a lot of good funny moments in it as well. The boyfriend character, he straight up has that pube joke that I just started cracking up about. And that's a good little bit of comedy. But there's some scenes in this movie that just doesn't land. I think that's why critics are really harsh on this movie, because it just wasn't what they were expecting. Rating this movie, I'm going to give it an 8.5 cut-off faces out of 10. I genuinely enjoyed this movie. I just think that if there was a few scenes that got cut out, maybe left for the deleted scenes, it would have been fantastic. I mean, this is almost a 2.5-hour movie, and honestly, there was rarely a scene where I was bored. Start to finish, there is crazy shit happening the entire movie. Never leaves you, like, there's never a boring scene. And that is what is so impressive about this movie. It's so long, and it feels like 50 minutes, maybe. I did not know I was in the movie theater for 2.5 hours, just about. I highly recommend you see this film, and give your own opinions about it in the comments. I want to hear what everyone else is thinking. Tell me if you completely disagree with me. Go ahead, throw something down in the comments. I want to know. Just remember, this is a movie, and we're just having fun talking about our opinions. I'm not trying to fight anybody over it, who liked this movie more, who hated it, whatever. Don't forget to subscribe to Killjoy Jake, turn on that notification bell, and like this video if you could, or dislike it, whatever. If you hate my opinion, go ahead, dislike it. Just don't leave me some crap in the comments like most people do.